Hey guys, welcome back. Tonight is part 2 on wing tubes. Show you some of my crazy little tricks. So last night we got the PVA on, let it fully dry. Looks beautiful. Now, one thing over here real quick. Kind of a crazy thing that I do to figure out how many inches the tube is. You do not want to put it on the PVA. If you put the tape on, you're going to pull the PVA off. First off, I need to give a huge credit thanks to John Larson. That was the guy who kind of started me on this. Your first couple of times doing this, I'm here to tell you, you're going to mess up, okay? It's something that you got to try a few times. I would really recommend to start out with an 1.5 inch wing tube for your first couple of times. Make sure it's an older wing tube that you don't really care about because you might have to cut it off. So just don't give up. I mean, that was the biggest key for me is not giving up. I've really found some little techniques. But so after that said, when I figure out the size of my wing tube, I just wrap a piece of tape around it, and then you're going to have your number. You want 1 1/4 wraps of, each roll of cloth is one, each roll of, your paper that we're going to show you how to put on, your wax paper. So what I do is I just mark that out, and then I take this down to my bench, and then I have my number of how long that piece is. So an 1.5 inch wing tube is 5 1/8 inches for 1 1/4 wraps. The one for the stab tube that what I'm working on right now is 2 5/8. And then I write down here it's 22 inches.
Turn that light on.
It's 22 inches long, the amount of cloth that I need. So if I need to do 2 wraps, I just times that by 2. If I need 2 wraps of that or 3 wraps of this, you're going to have a good reference here. I like this, and then when you're done, you just throw it away. So now with that said, the next trick is your wax paper. Wax paper, parchment paper, I've really found that I kind of like using the wax paper. Now, you're going to feel the wax paper, and believe it or not, there's a little difference to it. It naturally wants to roll this way. When I put it on the other side, which I call the back side, it gave me a little bit of problems. Now I always do it with the roll in, that's my outside. Now I set it here on my bench, and the reason this is key is because you're going to be rolling the same way. If you roll up your wax paper wrong, it's going to ball up on you and things like that. So I just set it here on the bench and I roll it up. Now, you want to leave 3/4 of an inch hanging off over here. You're going to take your tape, oops. You're just going to set it in your lap. You're going to hang it. Now, the big key with the tape, the first layer, you don't want to go super tight because you're going to pop that PVA off. Now, don't ever remove it again because you're going to ruin the PVA. Now, one of the big keys is getting the paper straight as possible. You can have a few little wrinkles in it. Don't worry, as it starts to dry, you're going to see tonight how it does tighten up on the tube. So you don't want it wrinkled up bad, but you do want it there. Now, 1 1/4 wraps. Some guys are 2 2 wraps, but the problem is with their tubes is they're coming out loose. There's other guys that have done spiral. John actually does a spiral style. I just found I like this. It seems to be the best for me. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to get that to where the crinkles disappear. That means it's straight. And I'm going to kind of squeeze together on that so that it goes tight. And we're going to tape this. Now, my wax paper is always, so if it was 22 inches of length, I cut my wax paper at 24. Too long, you're going to have problems. Too short, you're going to have problems. So, now these are ready. So, we've got the 5/8 tail tube and the little 1/2 inch guy. So, playing cards, gloves, epoxy, and cup. Now, kind of a crazy one. I don't know if it was just me, but I was using some wax paper cups, and when I mixed my epoxy, I don't know if there was another flaw, but I've now never ever done this again, and I still find it to be true. I will not mix my epoxy in a wax cup because that tube stayed sticky, waxy feeling forever, and we never got it off. We ended up having to cut it and pull it off. So, another thing that we did is I started out using the 209 hardener. It was too slow, and it really had a bigger shrink rate to it. These tubes, after they fully cured, were really strong, but they would shrink, and it just shrunk to the point where they were never fun. So now we're using 206 hardener, just a 206 with a 105. I've really liked this. So we're just going to do 2 or 3 pumps for what we're going to do tonight, and that should be enough. So just 3 pumps, get that going. So I went through and I pre-cut all my cloths that I wanted to do tonight. Now, I do cut both sides, just saving time. Left and right if I'm going to do 2 tubes, things like that. I fold my cloth together. It seems to help it so you're not stretching it and playing with it too much. The more you play with it, the worse it gets. So we're going to lay this out. Now, something else I've really experimented with and I've really come down to liking the best is I use 1.4 ounce cloth for the first wrap, which is a really soft. The 3/4 ounce cloth, I actually tried a few. The problem was the cloth's kind of a little more on the difficult side to work with. It would stretch real easy, and it was just hard to squeegee out. And then so I do 2 full wraps of 1.4 ounce cloth, and I do 2 wraps of 3.6 ounce cloth. The reason I use the 3.6 ounce cloth is because if I'm adhering it into a foam wing, it gives it a nice rough outer texture so that it's going to bond in the foam really well. And the 2 different variances really made my tubes stiff. I didn't want them too stiff. You don't want them too heavy. There's no reason for super heavy. But super soft, when you put it in there with Gorilla Glue and you don't slide your tube in the foam, you can actually crush your wing tube socket in the foam. So I've really come down to this is what works best. Now, it's also very key. Tonight we're going to get this done, and tomorrow night we have to get these pulled off. They will be still a titch on the soft side tomorrow. If you let it for 48 hours, they become so stiff. If you have any kind of imperfection tube like I showed you last night, it's going to be extremely difficult to get off. So let's go ahead and get started here. So we're going to do the 1.5 inch wing tube first. So You'll notice that we just got them laid out here, 1.4, 3.6 ounce cloth, and a playing card. Now we're just going to...
Hey Mark. Hey Terry.
Hey Terry. Hey Mark.
I can see you guys are on. I don't know if we're seeing comments tonight though.
So please give us a comment just so that we can learn if we're doing this. And also please, if you guys like what we're doing, please like it and share it. And we're really hoping people are enjoying a different way of doing this stuff. And I sure hope that we're able to teach people a little bit more hands-on so that maybe there's something I missed to say. I mean, of course there probably is something I'm missing to say, but I sure hope that once you see it done, it makes better sense. Yeah, so now what we're doing is we're just using the playing card to really squeegee the glue around. Now I'm going to move this excess here up to the next one.
Also, we know it's a little blurry. We're in a metal building, so the signal's not the best, but we're going to figure that out.
Oh, by the way, don't go to Walmart and buy cheap playing cards. They're not as stiff as the good cards. So make sure when you buy your playing cards for your squeegees, buy the better ones. These ones really curve. Yeah, I hate these cards. So, but whatever. So we're really getting this squeegee down.
Terry said playing cards do work well.
Yes. I played with a bunch of old credit cards. You know, the wife takes them away all the time, and instead of cutting them up, I make her give them to me for this. Didn't like the credit cards as much. So it's really difficult. Oh, one of the big keys to this whole trick is the Mylar John gave me here. Now, you're going to notice that it's clamped on the top of the bench, and this will all make sense here in a minute. Because I'm going to pull and roll. One of the big keys is not to pull too much, and the other key is not to roll too much, because you want to get rid of your air bubbles with the pull. So, you're going to see right where that is. You want to set your seam line down just a little bit. Now,
Hey Colton.
hey Colton, how are you, dude? So, oh, I love the comment today on red line oil. Absolutely. That is why I do not run anything anymore other than red line. I ran into that years ago with AMSOIL. Absolute garbage. Started causing all sorts of carbon buildup problems. It was disgusting. So, but
He says he finally caught one in time.
yeah. So, we're gonna, now we just set that on there, and we're gonna roll, and you're gonna see how these big bubbles are sitting there. A lot of guys try to play with it. No, just take a pull on it, and make sure you always wipe out. So you're gonna roll, you're gonna pull lightly, and you're gonna really watch those bubbles disappear. Again, don't pull too much, because you're going to make it stick like crazy strong. So now again, make sure as you twist your hand, you're always going in the tightening direction. So there's the first layer of that one. I'm just going to pick this up, drop it back down here. Now the 3.6 ounce cloth really is a little bit more work to wet up all the way through it. You can squeegee right over and it doesn't wet it all the way through. Yeah, make sure you're getting it wetted all the way through on these. So you're just going to squeegee that on through. I hope you guys can hear how you can really hear as it starts to dry, as you're squeegeeing it off, you can really hear it squeegeeing it off. Nice. So now, you're going to find your original ending line, which is right there. You're going to set that down right there. Just use the card to kind of lift back up your cloth, and I just set that very, very close to my old one. Now, big bubble right there, no problem. Just give it a pull and pull out. Pull out. Roll and pull. Now again, you don't want to play with it too much because you're going to pull those strings out pretty bad. And we'll show you what we do on those tomorrow. Now you're just going to look for any big air bubbles. Looks extremely well. Now, hopefully you guys can see this. Like I said, like Nicole said.
Colton says so many jokes for that.
We're working on the better. We're not very good on the image quality, and we're working on that because we're in a metal shop. You're going to notice that it looks like little tiny spots on here, just little ones. But you're concerned that, oh, did I get wet through the wax paper? No, that's actually just it sticking the wax paper down to the tube. So you're going to notice that there's very few little dots on there. Okay? We'll show you tomorrow night when we pull these off. We're going to try to figure out a way, because it takes two people to get these off. We're going to figure out a way that we can hold the camera and do this. But I
think everybody needs to give me a thumbs up for anybody that wants to see Brad Worston come down and help Joe take this off tomorrow night. Thumbs up, everybody.
But you're going to notice that is really not a lot of dots. When you guys see this tomorrow, you're going to see a lot of dots. You're also going to notice that, again, the PVA comes to about here because my sticky mitts are touching right here on the tape end. And that's really where I always want to try to hold it, is right there. So we're going to let that one cure. So, again, for your first couple of tries with this, really start out with a 1/2-inch wing tube, an 1.5-inch wing tube, sorry. The smaller tubes are quite, I don't know, they've been more difficult for me. Maybe I'm pulling too much, but they turn out good, so that's the reason, hey, you know. So, you're also going to notice, because I've already worked, how quickly that wetted up. So, the next pour, you really don't have to give it much at all.
Hey Mark, how's it going?
Hey Mark. Hey, Friday night, let's try to work on your wing.
This is Mark Thurman.
Oh, Mark Thurman, hey!
Crawley was on there. I don't know if he still is.
Hey Mark, what we're talking about tonight is making custom wing tube sockets, because you know, if you have a Chinese socket or a 38 millimeter, nobody makes phenolics for it. So we laid that down, we PEVA'd it, we waxed it, we rolled 1 1/4 wraps of the wax paper. We're going to set that on there.
Mark Thurman says he wish he was close enough to work on his wing with you.
Well, if you're ever buzzing through Utah, make sure to stop and say hi. So, roll, pull. You're going to notice that these air bubbles really just disappear. And the resin, the reason you try to dry that out as much as possible is because, man, the resin, as you pull on it, really comes right up to the top. It's quite wild. And I like to always pick up my cloth and put it back into the super wet area, because you're going to use less resin because the bench is already wetted out. So that card is getting gone. You're going to see that that is not wetted out. So you got to really make sure to kind of push the resin on the 3.6 ounce cloth down to the bottom.
Hello, Brad.
Hey, Brad. So we're doing a likes and thumbs up, and you're the winner. You're coming down tomorrow to the house at 9:30 to help us pull wing tubes. Sound like a deal?
We asked everybody to give us a thumbs up if they wanted to see you help Joe pull wing tubes. And everybody did.
You're the winner. So.
Go ahead, Brad. Give us a call.
Oops. So I just did something big. No. I wanted to go move a string and cut it off. Try not to play with the tubes, the glass, as much as possible. You shouldn't play with a lot of things too long in life, because it doesn't work out too well. So,
Brad says he needs inspiration from the master.
So, now we're just gonna get that beginning down, because you definitely don't want to just start rolling it up, because then it'll ball up on you, and then it's going to be an uneven tube. So, roll and pull, roll and pull. Now these frayed up ends, I'm just spinning them around just lightly, and I'm also checking for any air bubbles. That one looks really good. These strings, I just leave them alone, and tomorrow I'm going to lightly sand them off before we pull it off, because they will become razor blades once they're dried. So, again, it's handy to just keep a nice big long screw. Now, I accidentally hung this wrong, and I shouldn't do that. The cloth is going to want to fall away from that wall. You don't want to do that. Always want to make sure that gravity's pulling it down. It is wet. It will fall a little bit. Not make or break. But so now, for this super fun tiny little guy for Darren. So again, I know, Darren, that this is going just through a fuselage. So what I'm doing is 2 wraps of 1.4 ounce cloth and 2 wraps of 3.6 ounce cloth. The reason I didn't do it just with 4 wraps of 1.4 ounce cloth is because as you guys cut into that fuselage to put this wing tube where you guys want it, I wanted to give you guys a little thicker tube so that you can, if you accidentally you can have a little bit more room to give. And you're going to probably use a little bit of Hysol to glue this in there. It's going to give you a really strong bond, something rough to attach to, but didn't want to make it too thick and heavy and something that you're going to hate. So I'm doing a 7-inch piece for you, and that's a long tube for this little guy. It's going to give us a real challenge to grab on over there, but I'm confident that good old Brad Worston can yank anything off. So
Hi, Tanner.
Hey, Tanner.
Hey, thanks for sharing, Colton.
Hey guys, if you guys like what we're trying to do here, just really trying to show the techniques firsthand, please make sure to like it and share it. And we're kind of excited about this idea. So again, roll and pull.
Hi, Eric.
Hey, Eric.
Brad says Duke is the man for
Oh,
that job.
for the yanking, I agree. Duke is the man for that.
Boys, come on now.
Remember, guys, my wife is the one videotaping, so watch the comments a little bit, but she can take a joke. So
It's all good, Brad. Eric says stop rubbing your nose.
Huh? Thanks.
Okay, so Eric, you have to know though, we're going to go off Joe for a second here. For this to even work at all, we have to have the door open to the shop because the metal building doesn't let the signal in. If we don't have that open, we can't even do the video.
Yeah, sorry.
So it's kind of cold in here. Pull and roll is Brad's technique.
And Dukes is yanking it. Never mind, we can't go there. So again, please make sure that you get out as much of the resin as possible with the playing card. Now you're going to set that tube back on there, looking at the old line where I stopped, setting it just a little bit further down so that when I pick it up, it's going to line up with the old.
Tanner, we're still getting down in the 30s at night. Well, here, I can look.
I don't even want to hear it. It's 54
outside right now.
So
blow some of that sunshine our way.
we're supposed to have nice weather this weekend. I'll definitely be out flying on Saturday.
Eric, we're just crafty that way. You want to know how we even figured out that opening the door and make it work.
Oh, we did some experiments.
And we can't have the radio on. It's the weirdest thing.
Well, and the radio, if we don't have the trademark, we might get in trouble for it. So,
It's 66 where Tanner is.
you lucky dog. So again, you're going to notice that I just have a few small dots. Okay, those will get bigger by tomorrow because this does shrink. That's the reason, again, you don't want to be pulling too much, but you need to pull it to get rid of all the air bubbles, and also because you want that thing super, super tight. So there's the last little guy. I'm going to just hang it up here for tomorrow.
Sorry guys, don't want to make you sick.
Sorry. So,
Close your eyes. There you go.
I know that this is stupid, but I try to reuse the Mylar. John gave this to me better than 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I've never had to replace it. So all I do is I take my now soaked up playing card and I just squeegee it on down, and then I'm just going to take some alcohol, squirt on the bench, wipe it off, and then just droop this over an airplane and let it dry. But I do really take some time to clean this down very, very well, because it's actually really hard to find. This is a very, very thin Mylar. John accidentally came across it at this shop that was selling it, but he doesn't even know where it came from. So it's very, and it's a big sheet. The big thing is
it's still stiff.
Yeah, it's still stiff, but it's not like the stuff that you can get through ACP. It's a Mylar, but it's a really thick. And then Darren had a really good idea that I know it would work if you took a piece of glass and you could use it as the same thing. But putting down just a wax paper on your bench, that's not going to work because you need to pull. That is a big key with how this ends up working. So, please guys, if you guys like this, please make sure to like it. Please also make sure to share it. We're really excited about this idea of, helping people in the hobby and showing them the little techniques that we've come up with over the time. In these videos, if there's something that I ever learned from somebody and I don't mention you directly, I want to just say I'm super, super sorry. I always want to give credit for this. Like I said at the beginning, this technique came from John Larson. Yeah, we refined it a little bit, but it's really key.
Andrew says, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Great work.
So,
when we get to like 200 followers or likes on our page, we've been talking about doing a tiny little giveaway.
Yeah, Nicole says we're giving away a full-on 40% airplane with a ZDZ 180.
Now that's Brad talking out of your mouth.
Yeah, but we're really, guys, we're doing this because... Well,
Terry says, I tried wax paper. Called it a lot of names.
Yeah. No, the Mylar is it's the biggest key of all. Or anything that you can pull on. Like I said, glass, anything you can also clean, a piece of 60 thousandths Lexan. I've got a bunch of junk upstairs Lexan. I might actually try it just to let you guys know how it cleans and things like that.
Hey Chris, hey Steve.
Steve.
Rains.
Oh, hey Steve. I was actually watching
Chris Peterson.
A video last night of the old Harley airplane down there that you videotaped down at the model port, and we're doing some changes to that airplane right now. We're just changing
surprise.
Yeah. Hey, that airplane's been with me for a long time. That thing started out with a DA 150. That was my first 40%er I ever built. Man, I worked so hard to buy my first DA 150 and still have it.
Oh, nice try, Colton.
No,
Colton wants the keys to his favorite girl. That can be his giveaway. He can get the cap.
I'll have to show you a picture of how bad that poor thing is. But it's coming along. I'm really hoping to have that one done soon. Really, really soon. Building a new rudder and almost build a new fuselage, but I was able to patch it back together. So if you want, there's another fuselage sitting right over there for you. So
come visit.
Yeah.
He's been known to whip out an airplane in 4 days or less.
with no sleep. I've done it. So, the big key though, cleaning this down. But so Steve, when we get that back up and going, the old Harley plane, you got to come out and see it. So, yeah, changed from a DA150 to a DA170 to a 3W200 to a 3W170, and now we're putting on a ZDZ180. So it'll be interesting to see, because that's going to be a really fun baseline, because it's had about every motor out there. It started out life as a linear edge 540 that I then modified the tail on, the rudder on. I changed the canopy, carbon fiber landing gear. Then we built a different set of wings for it, and that's really where the thin wings started coming about. And then we've really refined the thin wing concept to where it's really different. It's something that I really love. It's a very interesting wing. It generates lift, but it doesn't generate a lot of drag. It's really, really cool. So, now that we're done with there, we're done. So, please come back tomorrow, guys. Same time, same happy place. So, definitely check it out tomorrow. So,
When we take the tubes off.
Yep, we're going to make sure to show how we get the tubes off. There's definitely a trick to those of how we...
It'll be fun. Let's just say it'll be fun.
We add a little air, a little bit of straws, a little bit of yank, a little bit of grunting, but they do come off. They come off really well. So hopefully you guys are liking this. Thank you very much for being here with us. Thanks.
Bye-bye.